My 12-year-old nephew called me poor in front of everyone. I never imagined a person who would embarrass me the most at a family gathering would be my own 12-year-old nephew. He looked me straight in the eye, smirked, and said, "My dad says, you're broke. Why do you even come to these parties?" The adults laughed awkwardly. Nobody corrected him. What he didn't know was that I had been protecting his family for years. I'm 29 years old, married to an incredible woman, and we have 2 amazing children together. We don't live flashy lives, and I've never felt the need to prove anything to anyone. But after my dad remarried, everything changed. My stepmother and her son constantly treated me like I was the failure of the family. Every dinner came with little comments about money, careers, or success. I ignored it because I respected my father and wanted peace. A few years ago, my dad quietly called me over one Saturday morning. He looked exhausted. Without saying much, he slid a folder across the table. Inside were overdue notices, loan statements, and nearly $300,000 in debt. He was on the verge of losing everything. I didn't lecture him. I didn't ask questions. I simply paid it all off. When I finished, he grabbed my arm and said, "Please, don't tell anyone, especially my wife. If she finds out you saved us, she'll never let me hear the end of it." So I kept the secret. I continued showing up to family events, smiling through every insult, while the very people I had rescued treated me like I was beneath them. Then came the celebration that changed everything. I was sitting on the floor playing with my own kids when my nephew knocked a toy out of my daughter's hands. Then, loud enough for the whole room to hear, he laughed and said, "Don't worry. My dad says your family can barely afford groceries." My daughter looked at me with tears in her eyes. My wife squeezed my hand, trying to keep me calm. I stood up, ready to finally defend myself. Before I could say a word, the front door opened. My father had just arrived. He took one look around the room and immediately understood what had happened. For the first time in years, he didn't stay silent. He faced everyone and said, "You all deserve to know who actually saved this family." Then he told them everything. He explained how I had quietly paid off every debt, prevented the house from being lost, and asked for nothing in return. The room went completely silent. My stepmother's smile disappeared. My stepbrother stared at the floor. Even my nephew suddenly looked confused, realizing he had been repeating words he never truly understood. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I simply picked up my daughter, took my wife's hand, thanked my father for finally telling the truth, and walked out. Some people spend years trying to make you feel small, but the truth has a way of speaking for itself when the time is right.